We'll see just how short that is as Myrmidons get into game number 2. They try to cleanse their thought process and get a picks and bans phase that might land up in their favor. However, Epsilon winds up with first pick this time around. We'll take a look as the bans get underway.
I'll be interested to see if the bans will switch at all.
Interesting. No Hades, says Epsilon. So LeMoGow able to scare Epsilon just enough to where the top squad in EU wants to take Hades off the board.
I mean, LeMoGow was ganked a couple times, and maybe this is something that Dimi wants to switch it up, and Hades is just a very lane-controlling god.
Oh,
and
yeah,
Dimi was pushed back early outside of adapting, able to find 2 kills on him, so, you know, give him something. And adapting store taken right away. Myrmidons having none of that.
Exactly, because, again, with how dominant Epsilon's performance was last match, it's very easy to get carried away and just, well, go ham, hyper-aggressive, and very just throw everything to the wind. And adapting didn't do that. He kept his mentality of having to protect his teammates. So taking this off the board will help Myrmidons sort of get away with stuff that they weren't able to get away with before. I think we saw a couple of solid plays come out of Myrmidons that were shut down by a surprise Thor. That'll take that off the table. Dimi, picking up Wukong.
You never know.
That's very true. Wukong is
I would say this is Dimi most of the time based on when Epsilon have grabbed this god. It's gone to Dimi. However, iRaffer, he's a very aggressive player, so he could look to play it. Aphrodite and Nox going to be the top picks for Myrmidons.
So I like these picks. Nox, I guess Nox just scared Myrmidons enough. I honestly, this character is so relatively new to not what I wouldn't want to call it the meta, but what we see. We haven't seen many teams play it a lot. But the Aphrodite. Epsilon absolutely hates playing against Aphrodite. iRaffer has been doing in-house games with all the EU pros. They're actually up on his YouTube channel if you want to check them out. Awesome content. One of the house rules they have, no Aphrodite. It's one of Raffer's most hated gods. Myrmidons just poking that team a little bit. I mean, the mental game is strong, right?
It's very strong. Serqet drafted as well as Neith, and this looking like the Epsilon drafts that we saw at the beginning of the split. I mean, if Dapping didn't get Thor, he would play Serqet, and then emilitoo was playing a lot of Neith, a lot of Freya, and yeah, you know, emilitoo actually does this very small thing that we don't see too often. It's actually the Neith ult baits, where anytime he doesn't feel pressure to the lane or like he was going to take poke, he just charges his ult. And what is it? It's like you said, it's a mental game. It's like you don't actually know when he's looking to set up a gank, because sometimes that Neith ult is incredibly readable, because the longer you charge it, the more damage it does. It's still going to have the same stun time, but sometimes players or teams can read that the enemy is setting up for a gank because the Neith starts charging ult. However, they're not going to know that if you're always charging it.
And not for nothing, I mean, it's one of those intangible, well, it's very tangible, but it's one of those inquantifiables where you can put a number on how much damage Neith is going to do or how much healing Aphrodite is going to do, but how do you value? You can't put a number on clogging the other team's communications. So if you're able to just fill the other team with Neith ult, Neith ult, Neith ult, no, she canceled it, Neith ult, Neith ult, no, she canceled it, Neith ult, that's going to cause problems for the enemy team. So second round bans come out. No Freya, says Epsilon, and no Ares, says Myrmidons.
Fenrir are going to be drafted going to the solo lane more than likely on LeMoGow. Awilix likely to go in this jungle. So there actually is an interaction with this Myrmidons roster that I'm not incredibly sure about. If Aphrodite, I don't know if you're familiar with it. I've just never seen it.
Back off.
No. If an Aphrodite is linked, well, actually, no, that's two. It's basically the same. If an Aphrodite is linked to a Nox and the Nox goes in a player, what happens?
The link stays active, but only on the one player, not the two player.
Okay, so you could heal Nox while she's in someone else?
I'm cutting you off. Xing was just picked. It's the first time this god has ever been played competitively, and it'll be on the side of Epsilon.
Okay, I mean,
that's exciting.
This is a very aggressive support, very similar to Ares. It's basically a safer version of Ares.
Sure.
It's with a little bit less damage. That's the idea of Xing. He has percentage health damage on his Furious Roar, his one, similar to Searing Flesh. He has this AoE ult that grabs players around them, spins them in a circle, and CCs them. And it's basically you're forced to beads.
Xing is very exciting, and we will definitely talk more about him. Myrmidon's composition right now is very off the wall. So we've seen Vamana. A lot of people sort of wrote him off, but we've seen him play competitively. Yes. I think that he's still able to be played. You know, it's not a nonsense pick.
Oh, no, it's Dimi. Xing solo. Okay.
So
it's iRaffer.
Yeah.
Okay.
So LeMoGow is going to be taking Nox into the solo lane, while Dark Dodo plays a mid lane Aphrodite. Fails, predictably, Red Pot Awilix in the jungle. Tian's going to be playing a... Tian and Dardes are going to be playing dual lane Vamana and Fenrir. I don't think it's... So this is actually an interesting conversation. Dardes rocking the red pot, so I guess you could call him in the hunter role. But really, when you see a lane like this, Adonis, this is just... It's less about a hunter and a support and more about just a dual lane. Some people would call it a kill lane, maybe.
No, it's 100% a kill lane. Anytime you put Fenrir in the support role, it actually does not matter what else you put there. It's a kill lane. Can we actually hover over Tian's? I want to see if he got red pot, because that's actually what we typically see come out of these Fenrirs.
Dardes got the red pot. I don't know if Tian's did as well.
Yeah, I want to see. Can we see the Fenrir? No, so there no red pot coming out from Tian's. I think I would have rather seen the double red pot start, because we noted that Dardes did it, but that is going to hurt the damage. And early on, honestly, Fenrir is going to be doing a lot more damage than Dardes on this Vamana is.
Vamana is really valuable, though, to the squad because of his ability to knock up. That'll really work well with LeFaeles. Expect to see Awilix a lot in this long lane, as Dardes will use Clear the Path, knock someone up, and then eventually when LeFaeles hits level 5, she'll be able to grab him out of the air, maybe even through a wall.
Oh yeah, the recent buff to Awilix. We did forget to talk about that as well. No longer are people going to jump over a wall and you not have the reaction time to hit that ult. Early rotation coming in from Adapting, looking to shut down LeFaeles for first blood, and Myrmidons, hello?
That is 450 gold off of the jungler. Jumping forward
Myrmidons, hello?
Is the Fenrir damaging Del 2, Sun Wukong.
Myrmidons, hello?
Dardes very low. Positioning by Tian's for the body block. Stunned out, Sun Wukong dealing damage, hits him over the top with the Jingu Bang, but taking damage. Dardes cleans up, Adapting able to take him out
Myrmidons,
as well.
hello?
Emilitoo follows it up with not one but 2 kills. That's 2 on the side of Neith already.
That is a very positive trade for Epsilon. I mean, they lose... iRaffer falls there, but iRaffer, he's mostly about his abilities. He doesn't need to be super far ahead in gold. Like, once he gets one defensive item, he has a lot of abilities in his kit to escape these ganks. But, I mean, Tian's and Dardes falling. This Vamana, he's just going to get bullied. Vamana has a pretty rough time if he gets behind, especially against ADCs. He really struggles. We have seen that matchup in the solo lane more than anything.
And he had a red pot, Kevin. It's gone.
It's gone.
So, not just Dardes on the Vamana, but LeFaeles on the Awilix. Both red pots absolutely taken off the board by Epsilon here very early on, 4-1, sporting a, almost a 2,000 gold lead. Emilitoo is going to be aggressed on, but able to backflip out of that damage, which would have likely spelled her death. And because of that, Emilitoo is going to be able to clean up the wave, no problem.
He's got a self-heal in his kit as well, so, I mean, this is super good for him. He's going to be able to stay sustained in this lane, and you could already see the rotations on the left-hand side. Tian's not level 5. Neith coming through. He's going to fall here. One auto or Deathbane should finish him off. Adapting. Maybe not. Okay, there it is.
And over the top, iRaffer
Bluestone,
gets the hit
boys.
with the Bluestone.
So right now, Epsilon is just so far ahead. Myrmidons, without their full roster, typically I don't like riding off teams this early.
Of course.
Right? Sometimes you want to be like, all right, this is the story. They could fight back into this. But Myrmidons, just mentally, they are done. They are running into incredibly bad situations that they shouldn't, and then they're dying.
The frustration is very evident.
Early in game 1, right? It was just Epsilon being aggressive and comboing and making great plays. It wasn't necessarily Myrmidons just blindly running in. That's what we saw in the second half of the game, where the players are just trying to fight fights that there is absolutely no way they win. Coming to game 2, they're doing what they did at the end of game 1, is they're just running into fights that they absolutely can't win. I mean, Tian's and Dardes actually walked in at like below 25% health just to kill iRaffer, knowing that Emilitoo was going to kill them.
Dardes dodges a little bit, but gets smoked by Adapting anyway for the 6th kill on the side of Epsilon. Now, dominant performance coming here, but one thing that we can focus on, let's ride along with Dimi real quick. We'll take a look at how Xing Tian is going on in the solo lane as an invade coming out from Epsilon will prove to be...
iRaffer's under half, fails. He still has his red pot activated. He's actually going to jump over the wall, but 4 members of Epsilon, they are here, and right now they're looking for Dark Dodo. Nice stun coming out from Dark Dodo. Neith should secure this one. That is...
Body blocked by Dardes.
Yeah, but I mean, you could just see there.
Dark Dodo, my mistake.
Emilitoo, he's going to fall under tower, getting real greedy. But I mean, you could just see how scared Myrmidons are of this. You heard the ult charged from Emilitoo, and Dark Dodo just pressed 4. He just pressed 4 immediately.
Yeah. I mean, this lead right now is very strong. And so, Xing, he's a support, or he's a guardian, right? But here we're seeing him played in the solo lane by Dimi. We talked a little bit. He does have percent damage on the Furious Roar, but what does this character really bring to the solo lane?
I mean, his clear is all right. I really think it's more about Dimi coming into the team fights and having a huge impact with just the amount of damage. Because Xing is actually one of, I believe, 2 Guardians who have 4 damaging abilities in their kit. So late game, especially once he gets Mystical Mail online, does a lot. But, I mean, we're probably not even going to get to see him make big plays. Epsilon just invading into this buff. They're able to find a kill. No, actually, LeFaeles was able to secure his own speed. So there's that. Didn't get it stolen by adapting for a second time.
LeFaeles sporting that new speed buff. He'll go. I love this. He runs away into the enemy jungle, and he's able to back successfully there. Here comes the fight between the 2 hunters, one of which is a Vamana up in the ultimate. That'll heal him up just a little bit.
And this is the bullying I was talking about. Emilitoo just can stand in box with Dardes, no problem. As long as he saves his backflip, the second Dardes ults, he just has to backflip away and he's fine. There's no more sprint 3 that really made Vamana an incredibly viable god. So unless he's going Fatalis, and that's not going to happen early on for Vamana, he really either needs physical defense or attack speed or ability. Like, he just needs so many other things besides Fatalis early on that it's just not a good option for him.
And not for nothing is damage coming out
of
the
Yammyn.
lane. Yammyn's going to get smoked. Good combination by Myrmidons to notice the individual players, and iRaffer going to suffer the same fate. He'll be able to make it up into the ultimate before he dies, but where will he land is the question.
Now iRaffer's getting greedy. You could tell he's just like, all right, I'm going to kill Dardes here. And puts himself incredibly out of position.
That's one of the big things. That's one of the big problems with having a huge lead, if there is a problem, right? Is I always say, you got to play your lead. You got to make the aggressive plays, but you can't let the lead play you. And I think right there we saw Epsilon get a little, too big for their britches right there. But Myrmidons, credit to them. They did this in the first game as well, Adonis. Noticing players by themselves, isolating them, and picking up the picks when they can get them. You're not going to fight the team head on with this type of lead, although this was rather small after that exchange.
The lead actually isn't as big. It was actually 2,000 early on, and it's been the same. Myrmidons have been holding on, and a lot of that I want to really attribute to LeFaeles and Dark Dodo, who have been, they've made far better rotations this game to defend themselves and to defend their dual lane more importantly than we saw in Game 1. It's really been Dardes and Tian that are kind of just taking these awkward fights, but if Dark Dodo and LeFaeles can rotate and find these picks, we did see them combine for that kill in mid lane on Yammyn. They're actually holding on for Myrmidons. It's still going to be a tough task to climb up this one, but we could see Myrmidons have a potential to turn it around.
10 stunned out, damage coming out from the ultimate out of adapting, and before the dog can turn around
this is what I'm talking about from this dual lane.
Adapting.
I'm sorry, but he just jumped in place against 3 players.
Well, he went for the stun. He knew he was in trouble. I don't hate that play as much as I've hated some other plays.
Emilitoo continuing to bully. I mean, to be fair for this one, Dardes is done. Once he walked back into that lane early on and killed himself to Emilitoo and allowed Emilitoo to get a double kill. It's just a matchup that he is going to get abused in.
One thing that I do like about the Vamana pick here.
Oh, nice stun.
Which is, one thing that I actually do like is damage coming out onto LeMoGow. He'll get flipped up, he'll get stunned, he'll get put in the ground. Credit to Dimi off of the assist from Neith and adapting. Is that Dardes noticed how much his team was getting aggressed on.
Ooh.
So he plays a really thick, tanky character this time around.
Emilitoo getting aggressed on. Nice stun coming out from iRaffer here. Distracting 3, trying to slow him down. iRaffer has ult, but he doesn't have the mana to use it, I don't think. Dardes finds that kill, but Emilitoo responds against LeFaeles. Tian's pretty low. He wanted to go on Emilitoo. He really did, but he wasn't sure where Yammyn was, I think was the big thing. Myrmidons, they're fighting back now, and, full credit to LeFaeles right now for holding on for this team.
LeFaeles has been bringing a lot of what Myrmidons can take to the bank. Dardes here are going to get some tower damage as well, and as we take a gander at the graphs, 3,000 gold about on the lead of Epsilon, 4,500 experience as well. Still a lead, but Myrmidons is tending to this one. It's
for now.
than game 1.
Yeah, taking his player damage up on the board right now. You can see Dark Dodo only at, 281. This is nothing like he hasn't really been in these fights. He's rotated to keep his team alive, so we haven't really seen a lot of damage come out from him, which is no surprise.
Blink in and dodged away by LeMoGow.
Yeah, I think adapting kind of like he didn't have he blinked in, but I don't think his camera was facing the way he wanted to. You saw a slight delay before he threw out that Cobra's Kiss, and by that time, the reaction time from LeMoGow was able to get him away.
Yeah, that just goes to show you how big of an impact a small hesitation like that can be. That was for sure a kill. There was 2 people there, tons of CC, but a half a second of hesitation allows LeMoGow to really get out of trouble. Now with a ward there, that won't be able to happen again if Epsilon want to make that play. And here we see Epsilon aggressing on the Gold Fury, and it'll fall. So Epsilon gets even further ahead, putting themselves about 4,000 gold in the lead.
I mean, Myrmidons, they can't really ward the Gold Fury because you've seen how aggressive Epsilon is and how fast they are at responding to the rotations from Tins. Every time he's taken a trip to the mid lane, they've immediately gone on him and shut him down. You can see, he's already has, I believe, 3 deaths in this game. And that's, a lot of that's attributed to the ward vision that Epsilon brings. Myrmidons, they're going to have a tough time fighting to this one, especially after that Gold Fury was taken.
Dimi aggressing onto Nox on the solo lane. A little bit of fighting going on there as Myrmidons combine for a heavy rotation into the duo lane. They're not going to be able to find the backside of Epsilon. They'll just go straight up into the jungle. iRaffer spots out the rotation. He'll fly safely to the back camps. Myrmidons, they're all grouped up. But Gold Fury is already down.
They actually have a chance to fight this. This is a good look for them. It's a 2-on-2. LeFaeles, jumps onto adapting. They're trying to shut him down, but that's the god with heavy mobility, and his kid, Yammyn, takes a little bit of poke, forced out there. Adapting, just going to run back, and that's just unfortunate for Myrmidons. I mean, these are the fights that they need to find picks when they can actually catch Epsilon in an odd numbers game. Not able to do it there.
2-on-1 this time around again for Myrmidons. Beads come out onto Dimi, and an ult comes out onto LeMoGow. 2 of them. And that'll combine for the kill. Damage from Tins onto Dimi, but here comes help. iRaffer is here. Doesn't matter. Dimi's all in.
Ooh, that was close.
Tins falls down as iRaffer helps out his solo lane.
And that was incredibly close for Dimi there. He didn't have his ultimate available, but that's how far behind Tins is. I mean, if he had been able to really escape some of the earlier pressure that Epsilon put out onto him, he would have had the damage to shut down Dimi. It was a nice attempt, but unfortunately not able to come up with the kill as iRaffer also having the same mindset on these aggressive kill supports rotating over.
Just always want to help out the team. 2 towers for Myrmidons fall, both tier 1s in the 2 side lanes. But now emilitoo might pay for taking down that tower as Dardes and LeFaeles are here. Damage coming out. 1 more hit should clean it up. Who's it going to go to? It'll go to LeFaeles. Awilix, 1 more kill on her, but Yammyn has made the rotation. Here's the ultimate coming out from the Vamana, but here comes more members of Epsilon. Adapting zigzags through the crew. Damage coming out, and there, Yammyn claims the life of the jungler. Dimi's made it all the way from the right side of the map. He's going to grab no one in the ultimate. It'll just miss.
That's unfortunate, but Yammyn comboing for a double stun.
Huge.
Dimi takes out Tins. Now they're turning their attention to Dardes. Dardes has no ult. In the meantime, Adapting and iRaffer will take out Dark Dodo, and what looked like a great fight for Myrmidons. They got a little bit too aggressive trying to chase, I believe it was Yammyn, into his own tower. They had no ward vision. There was actually no one on the minimap. At the time. All of Epsilon was in the jungle rotating, and Myrmidons unfortunately don't recognize that and get a little bit too happy off their kill.
Epsilon, sure, they're wildly ahead right now, 6,000 gold in the lead and over 10,000 experience, but you still got to appreciate the playmaking there. 4 people chasing on 2 players. They split into 2 groups of 2, so they have the numbers advantage. They don't 3-on-1 and 1-on-1 one person. They 2-on-2 bolt. They 2-on-1 bolt situations. Able to make that decision in the middle of a team fight. That's impressive, and that's why Epsilon are leading this game the way they are. The small decisions wind up bringing home the big wins.
iRaffer going to steal away that speed buff. I believe, did he leave a little minion? No, he killed it. He wiped it with Bluestone at the very least. Tins, level 9 though, so far behind iRaffer. 4 levels. For Myrmidons, though, I'm really looking at LeFaeles. He's done a fantastic job of rotating and making some plays and some turnaround potential to keep Myrmidons at least a little bit alive. They're down 6,000, and it's a tall order. But if it's going to come off someone, it's really going to be coming off of LeFaeles.
I mean, 2, 3, and 3 is a respectable slash line. Adapting, trying to add another.
Adapting needs to find one auto, I think, to do enough damage to finish that off. He's actually silenced under tower, but Beads is
perfect play.
Yep, get it out.
Again, we talked a lot about the cripple being a problem for Serqet. Not if you beats it. The beats come out, zigzag out of the Deathbane, and LeMoGow finds another death.
He's rotated in. iRaffer finds the stun. Dark Dodo forced to ult off just the 72 transformations. Epsilon going to take note of that. They're going to be looking for Dark Dodo in this next engagement.
Epsilon, 4 members deep here in the middle lane, going to be pushing down this mid tower. 3 people from Myrmidons able to provide some defense.
I almost feel like they have to give this up. Yeah, smart decision from Myrmidons. You see Tian's over in that right-hand side lane. They can't take that fight.
500 gold for taking out a tier 1. I'll give that away any day of the week.
This is actually, if Epsilon push into this tier 2, I think this is a fight that Myrmidons have to take if they have any hope of coming back into this game. Stunned out, Dardes, oh man, he's already under 1/3 life. You could see the dots from Bluestone ticking onto him.
There's 5 here for Myrmidons. They have the numbers advantage until Adapting jumps in, which he will do at any moment. Here comes the aggression from Epsilon. Tanking the tower is Dimi, so he'll be taking the number of shots. You can see that he's got that Mail of Renewal online, so a little bit tanky already.
I almost feel like Myrmidons had to commit there, right? I mean, that
they still have Phoenixes.
There's no Fire Giant. But the problem is that Epsilon are continuing to grow a lead, right? It's going to be, if you're not taking it at the tier 2 tower, you have to take it at the Gold Fury. Otherwise, you're just giving up so much experience in gold. And I always say this, right? It is okay to give up objectives in Gold Fury every once in a while. Myrmidons, this is the fight they want to take, but I don't think they're the ones forcing the issue. Adapting blinks in, takes out LeFaeles. 3 members in this one for Myrmidons, and they're just being picked off one at a time. Tin's under 1 health. Epsilon doesn't look, oh no, Dimi wants to dive.
Raffer's going for it. He'll cancel the burn. He'll smack with the Jingu Bang, but a quick blink out of the Fenrir will save the dog's life. Damage onto Adapting, taken from the tower, but he'll also find his way out by the skin of his teeth. Members of Epsilon are behind the tower. They're able to claim the life of Dardes. One more player is here. It's Dark Dodo. Myrmidons, they're in a tough situation. Epsilon going to go ahead pick up the tier 2 tower here as well. So strong performance.
Ooh, Raffer getting low.
From EU's leader. Here's the ultimate out of the dog. He's going to go ahead and grab a member, but it's immediately Beads. Here's Dimi with his ult, and down falls Tin's emilitoo. Credit on that.
Yeah, I mean, Epsilon always just know when to get out, when to stay, when they can fight as a team. And right there you can see all 4 members incredibly low. Dimi able to heal up off that Mail of Renewal, though. He was just as low as the rest of the team. Dark Dodo's... Oh man, Dark Dodo, I'm so sorry. You're getting rotated on. Beads were already used. Ult forced out from him. Adapting wants to fight Dimi. He's got his Mail of Renewal online. Beads are used. Fails. Trying to fight 1v4, but too much CC for him to handle. Adapting solos out Dark Dodo. And once again, Myrmidons, they find a slight advantage. They push way too far up. And Epsilon, they just chain CC players down. And, you know, Myrmidons, 23 kills to 6. It looks like they're down 12,000 in gold at 17 minutes. This is over.
I mean, it's just really rough coming in here playing with all the different role swaps and stuff. I mean, realistically, so these players are some of the best in the world.
This is expected, right?
Right,
this is expected.
These players are some of the best in the world. What position did you play when you played back on
support?
Reason? You played support? Could you play at a competitive level? How many other positions could you play at a competitive level? Would you feel comfortable going out with?
Not into an important SPL match, right? That's something that I have to play.
That's my question. Like, you would feel comfortable playing support, but the other 4 positions?
Maybe I could probably like play solo, but I'm not gonna beat a tenured solo
You're
player.
Play chalk, right?
Yeah, even if they're like the 8C team, I'm not gonna match up against their solo laner more than likely at an even level.
Exactly. These players put hours and hours and hours into the game. You hear that all the time, but you forget it's largely onto one position. The reason that these players are playing the SPL is not because they're really good to get here and beat everybody. It's the small nuances that you only get from playing, what is it, 20,000 hours for perfection or something, right? It's these large amount of hours that you put in to figure out the small little intricacies that allow these players to step ahead. When you start switching positions around, you don't have that massive practice time underneath.
Adapting, finds the kill under tower. Emilitoo actually did fall in that one, but Myrmidons, they made a stand, 1-for-1 trade. That's in favor of, actually no, they lost Dark Dodo as well.
Emilitoo has been sort of the sacrificial lamb for Epsilon.
Emilitoo is just Emilitoo is just pushed up by himself all the time, right? Every single kill between game 1 and game 2 that we've seen Myrmidons do, it's like Emilitoo's just like super far pushed up. He's like, hey man, Emilitoo just, I think a lot of it comes down to Emilitoo actually wants to fight people 1v3. He's like, all right, I want to be on top 5 plays. I want F-Dot to cast my 1v3 against them. I'm just going to try for it. That's what I feel like his mindset is sometimes. I mean, to be fair though, I've praised him because he's playing, this push-up style is what he actually played back in the summer split. Right. He actually had the most deaths on any hunter in the SPL. It was like 50-some. And that was just so far ahead of anyone else. It was quite ridiculous for a team that had a positive win rate. Coming into fall split, though, he toned it down a lot. His positioning has been phenomenal. He hasn't been pushed up.
But he still does that, and
every once in a while, yeah.
I'm not even just okay with it. I like that. Teams have different identities, and a lot of the time, it's your solo lane warrior that's pushing up ahead and being in front of the team, right? For Epsilon, it's Emilitoo. Now, is it the right choice? No one can answer that but Epsilon themselves. And at 19-1, I'm going to say yes. It's the right choice for their team specifically.
I mean, he baited Tens in. I mean, Tens wasted so much that they were able to find 2 kills. But Emilitoo honestly might be worth 2 kills at this point. Dimi going to be able to 1v1 MoGow. Nothing for MoGow to do. And now Dimi going to force out Dark Dodo's ult with that Whirlwind of Rage and Steel. But Dark Dodo getting combined on by 4 players. Ultimates are expended from adapting. They lock that down. Emilitoo, he's back up.
Girdle of support. Now, I want to drive this home. Yes, Epsilon are severely in the lead.
Okay, I thought it was Emilitoo. I thought you said that. I was like, okay, Emilitoo.
So let's discuss this item a little bit. Epsilon severely in the lead, but by no means is this we've already got this game in the bag. Pick up a fun troll item. Girdle of support brings so much, especially now that Hog isn't sort of necessary. Supports can get 2 actives. Girdle brings a lot to the table.
Spam those taunts, Stardust. He is spamming taunt against iRaffer.
But so Girdle really able to help your team out. Mm-hmm. I mean, it just provides.
And it's really good on Yammyn, right? Who's tagging multiple players. He's going to be doing that much more damage. We've seen. Is that Girdle of support or is that Girdle of power? Can we actually highlight that? So it's inner power, right? So
okay.
What he's doing is he's just doing more damage with his ultimate. One of the other times we've seen this was actually Jerby back when he played Nuwa in Season 1.
Right.
Unfortunately, though, when you're behind, you can't really play it. When you're ahead, though, you can take risks about this, and it's about expanding your lead. And I mean, Epsilon, they're pretty far ahead, and I think that's, I was talking about Emilitoo pushed up. That's realistically, that's why it is. If this was a much closer game, I think Emilitoo would have a lot more respect for Myrmidons in his positioning. But this one, I mean, it's just looking bad for him.
Yeah,
hit that wall, Dardes. Hit that wall.
With the Girdle, again, what Nuwa brings in the late game is just, it lowers everybody's health threshold, essentially. The fight starts, and we start at 100%, and you don't. And
late game Nuwa, I mean, you can actually hover it. I believe it's like 400 base damage plus scaling. It swings. Mid lane, Tian's getting pushed out by Demi, trying to fight him in an auto attack battle here. Not going to win that one. Furious Roar comes out. Tins will be able to jump away, though.
Just trying to escape there.
Left side Phoenix taken out. iRaffer going deep, looking for MoGow, but they're just going to turn their attention. Blinking by LeFaeles. He's going to try and defend this 4v4.
LeFaeles seems like he's still in it.
LeFaeles has been trying super hard.
LeFaeles is still in it, and I give a lot of respect to him. It's very easy, and I'm not saying the other members of Myrmidons are doing anything unlike this, but LeFaeles has just been constantly trying to make the plays, trying to turn things around, despite being down almost 20,000 gold.
Blinken coming out from adapting, looking to lock players down. Yammyn takes to the sky. There's that damage that you're comboing for. Emilitoo over the wall finds Dark Dodo. Tens brings iRaffer into his own fountain. It's a 1-for-1. 3 Phoenixes are down. Epsilon deciding whether they want to force into this Titan or wait for their fire creeps. I think they're just looking for picks here. They know they can't just walk into the Titan and all jump on it. They have to look for kills or wait for their fire minions.
Titan was down to about 50% HP. Will heal up to about 75, 90, 100. All right, Titan now undamaged. But here comes one wave of fire.
Oh, LeFaeles is in trouble. He's going super deep looking for a kill. Darda's in the back line as well, looking to lock down Yammyn. But you could just see Dimi and Adapting immediately jump off, looking to kill other players, and now they're trying to protect their team.
Adapting taking a lot of damage in that exchange, but here comes Yammyn, blows up the team. Emilitoo gets one, so does Dimi. 3 people down on the side of Myrmidons, while Epsilon quickly tries to change that into 4. Damage coming out from the basics onto Aphrodite. And the pancake flip. Dimi sends one into the ground, and the Titan falls as well. Epsilon sweeps Myrmidons 2-0.
That was a very one-sided affair, both games. But we mentioned it multiple times. It's really the role swaps, not having Jermaine, realistically their best player, I'd say, from what we've seen all split next to Dart. It's the dual lane is their best player, and they didn't have their dual lane, and Dardes wasn't on that support role. Tin's not able to really make that same impact there.
Yeah, again, I said it towards the end of the game. I still really like what LeFaeles tried to do here, consistently trying to pull out the plays. You saw him a lot in the middle lane, which is actually where the game started out. First blood goes to Yammyn on the side of Epsilon. You'll see how he did it right here on Nuwa.
Yeah, this is just Adapting, rotating in behind, and FaEles wasn't able to see him. And then just a nice combo and burst potential coming out from that mid-jungler combination.
Yeah, Red Pot immediately taken off the board for Awilix, which is a big part of what she does. Awilix has a lot of scaling. Even the passive starts talking about physical power. So really problematic there for LeFaeles. Dimi, the player that played Xing is going to be our player of the game, and also he's on the line with us. 8-0 and 9, Dimi. You guys took 2 games to 0. Congratulations. How are you?
You there, Dimi?
All right, well, we'll fix things up in just a second. We'll take a look at his highlight reel right now. So 8 kills and 9 assists, not a single death on this Xing, and it started off building very defensively. We saw power boots, but then immediately followed up by a Mail of Renewal, and it all started with the Mark of the Vanguard.
Yeah, the Mark of the Vanguard was there.
Oh, we've got Dimi.
Hello?
How you doing, bud?
Finally, thank God. That took way too long. All right, here I am.
Anyway, the artist formerly known as Ninja. How you doing, friend?
I am doing just fine. How about you?
I'm doing great. You guys really put on a performance. First question, obviously, Xing. Just what do you like about him? How does he help the team?
I think he's a very good frontliner, also packs quite a bit of damage. His early game is a bit slow, but he's like 3 core spells, the 1, 2, 3, they're just amazing for control, mobility, and damage at the same time. His ultimate isn't that great, and it did get nerfed, but I didn't see why that got nerfed. And again, like his kit is just amazing, and if he gets away with the early game, he's just going to dominate team fights.
And is that the goal, right? Are you just trying to stalemate that lane against Nox? Have you actually even laned against Nox? Not even including Xing. How much experience do you have against Nox itself, or herself?
I have already played Nox myself, just for matchup practice, and I've played against plenty of Nox as well, and just in scrims and everything, really. It's not really scary. More like a farm lane for Nox, where Nox just wants to get items online and wants to play passive. It's not really anything really.
Makes sense. You guys played, like I said, you guys played out of your minds. Huge 20,000 gold leads. How hard is it to really stay in the game when you're that far ahead?
It's very interesting, especially playing as Myrmidons against a team that had nothing to lose, where you never know what they're going to do next. Like, they do rotations that you normally wouldn't expect. We just try to, do the usual, try to secure objectives, keep the lead going, and just close out the game before we can throw.
Okay, so, heading into your next matchup this week against Justice, you're currently 21-1. If you find 2 wins against Justice, you will secure first seed in the 8th week of the SPL. How does that feel, not just for yourself and then for the team?
It feels amazing. The team's pumped, and I really hope we can do it.
Do you have any plans to switch stuff up if you were able to secure that first seed against Justice? I don't want to necessarily say mess around but experiment a little bit more. Do you guys have that in mind?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe look some more spicy picks. I mean, I've played Nuwa every single day, every single game. I mean. Then again, Zayla played his Chalk, that's fine as well, but maybe something more spicy.
So just able to switch it up. Anyway, congratulations on your wins. Thanks for joining us again. Is there anything you want to say to the people at home?
Shout out to the sponsor, of course, Epsilon Esports, And shoutouts to our theory crafter and math genius. His name is Kipo. His Epsilon clan tag is not fake, and he does all the good builds for us, and he's amazing.
Awesome. Well, shout-outs to him, and shout-outs to you guys. 21-1 for Epsilon. Dominant performance they just put on against Myrmidons. Fantastic stuff coming out from them. But that's not it. We do have North American games. But before we get into that, let's talk about the top performers on the side of this match. The Alpha Draft top performers, and one more time, I almost said Epsilon top performers. Well, they are the Epsilon top performers.
Basically, Yammyn with that new wall able to basically steal away fantasy points. He just presses forward, he gets assists. He doesn't even need the kills.
Yammyn, well, he did get a lot of minion explosions.
Oh, yeah, no, he played phenomenal. I mean, all of Epsilon played great. I'd say the only thing I'm looking at really is emilitoo super far pushed up, but at the same time, I'm pretty sure he was just kind of feeling it ahead. I think he was just like, I want to fight nonstop. And, you know, even if you go on me, I'm just bidding for my team, which happened multiple times.
As you said, 2 more wins in the W column will net a #1 seed guaranteed for Epsilon. But let's take a look at the rest of Europe and see where they sit. We've got Paradigm in #2, Fnatic at #3. A lot of fighting and a lot of wins and losses can happen right here in the middle of the bracket and turn things around completely.
Team Dignitas sitting at 8-14. Myrmidons, they really kind of needed some wins. I know that it wasn't really going to be coming up against Epsilon there, but they have a couple more matches that they might be able to turn stuff around and qualify for that 6th seed. London Conspiracy Titan, they're pretty safe. It's very unlikely that Myrmidons catch them unless they drop every single game for the rest of the split and Myrmidons win out. But Team Dignitas versus Myrmidons, they're actually going to be facing in the 10th week, and that could actually come down to that 6th seed. So some important games to watch out for in the future.
Going to be very exciting next 2 weeks of the SPL. But don't forget, we've got another game coming up for you. It's going to be Cognitive Gaming taking on Denial. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.